What if I told you that there was an album released almost 5 years ago that mixed elements of jazz, psychedelic rock, lush guitar chords and vocals, and with only this many streams? Well, you're in luck. Enter Jindy, an indie band from Laos who I discovered about a year ago through YouTube recommendations with their song She Makes Me Wanna Die, which is easily their most popular song, but in my opinion, is far from their best. I'll dare to even say it. I think it's kind of a shame that this song, out of all their other songs, is the most popular, because behind the million+ streams on it lies a 10-track album that I've been listening to almost non-stop for the past year, with the song on this album even landing the #1 spot on my Spotify Wrapped for 2023. So without any further ado, I would like to introduce to you all Dim Light Lady. Now I'm going to go track by track and list the pros and cons of each song and rate them on a scale of 1 to 10, and at the end, I'll rank them all in a list from worst to best. Now before I start the actual album breakdown, there are a good amount of albums from other artists that I feel deserve a lot more attention as well, so comment below if you think I should make more of these types of videos. With all that being said, let's start the album. First up we have the opening track, Down We Go, and it's a pretty good start to the album. By no means is this the best track on the album, but it does a good job of introducing the general sound of this tape, with smooth riding drums just barely loud enough to hear, a wavy and hypnotic guitar melody, and smooth lead vocals. One thing that always kind of takes me out of this song though is the way the hook is sung. The best way I think I could describe this track, and I know it's going to sound kind of weird, but this song sounds very similar to something that would play in an early Adventure Time episode. Just super strange and uneasy, but overall it's a pretty good song, and I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. And the second track is Stay, and it's about on par, maybe a little bit below the opening track. This song is a more upbeat and head-bobbing type compared to the more hypnotic foggy sound of the previous track, Down We Go. With that being said, the song also feels very bare bones because of that. Now don't get me wrong, it's still a pretty good song, but it just lacks some depth in terms of ambience. Maybe it's because of the bare bones lead guitar, oversimplified drums and vocals that only last a couple seconds, and the short length of it as well, but I just feel it lacks some soul. Besides that, it's a fun little feel-good jam. I'll give this one a 6.5 out of 10 as well. The third track is It Must Be the Trip, and this is the one. Funny enough, this track was my most listened to song on my Spotify Wrapped, but it honestly was not a surprise whatsoever. Now you might all think that I'm glazing this song super hard, which I honestly kinda am, but please hear me out. Coming in at a little over 4 minutes, as the song title suggests, this song feels like a trip. It opens up with an out of tune and kind of out of distance intro, and then boom, you get hit with the crispiest vocals, a smooth but also hard hitting drum beat, a glossy lead guitar, wavy synths, and it feels like you're in another realm. Now that's great and all, but at about the halfway mark is where things get real. For the first 2 minutes, you're gliding in space, having an out-of-body experience, and then out of nowhere, you're hit with the rough, scruffy and dark guitar solo that's also beautiful. This guitar solo is very simple, but oddly enticing. Now while your ears are being blessed by this insane solo, the backing drums and synths stay the same, creating an insane contrast you have to hear to believe. Whoever's watching this, close your eyes right now and listen. I'm going to play this entire part, and since I don't really care about monetization, this will probably be copyrighted. and just like that, it's over. Back to reality. Now, I've never actually done any kind of psychedelic drugs, but I think this song encapsulates that feeling amazingly. This track takes you through a roller coaster, starting off slow, taking you on a high and coming back down. One of my favorite songs of all time, and is easily getting a 10 out of 10. The fourth track is Bittersweet, and wait, do you hear that? Now this is another really good song. It opens up with an absolutely gorgeous sort of keyboard synth pattern and a twangy guitar lead that complement each other super well. But unfortunately, there's one big thing that holds this song back from being perfect. It's the vocals. Up to this point, the vocals have been smooth, lush, and haunting, but on this track, I don't know why, but it sounds like they added a wobble voice plugin and cranked it up to 100. But I also could be wrong, and maybe he's just singing like that. Either way, it just sounds kind of off to me. Besides that, this is a really amazing track. And I'm giving this song a 7.5 out of 10. The fifth track, in the halfway mark, we finally have the title song, sorta, in Light Lady. This is definitely the most upbeat and fun track so far, and I really like it. It makes me smile. I would describe this as just a better version of the second track, Stay. The lead guitar riff is super catchy, and the upbeat drums mesh perfectly with them, creating a warm sound that's really pleasant to the ears. And thankfully, the vocals are back to normal for the most part. Honestly, there's not a whole lot that makes this track super outstanding, but I think it's the most underrated one on the album in my eyes. My favorite part of this track would be the way it ends, with just the super upbeat instrumental carrying it until the song finally fades out, letting the listener soak it in. I'm giving this one an 8.5 out of 10. The sixth track is Not So Sure, the most streamed song on the album, and while I don't think it's as good as It Must Be the Trip, it's probably my second or third favorite on the album. Not So Sure is easily the most mellow and relaxing song in the entire project, and if that's your thing, then this just might be your favorite. This is a very simple track, slowing things down significantly and showcasing more of Jinty's jazz influence. The vocals are also very simple on here. Not a lot of reverb, not a lot of haziness, just very simple and effective. My favorite part would easily be the small guitar solo at the halfway mark. I once played the song out loud, and at this part, my dad said he really liked it, and he asked me who this was, so I think that's a pretty good sign. Overall, this is a very simple, slow, chill vibe of a song, and I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. The seventh track is I'm Patient, and it's kind of a strange one, not gonna lie. This song is obviously going for the more out-of-tune psychedelic sound, but that and the vocals on here don't really match super well for me, but I still kinda like it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's also not bad. Definitely the middle of the pack. However, I really like the old school kind of 70s fuzz guitar solo that happens around this track. There's not a whole lot to point out honestly for this one. It's just kind of okay, but I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's a pretty cool vibe. The 8th track is Whatever, and I would describe this as kind of a slow burn of a song, which makes for a very unique listening experience. Now you may be wondering to yourself, how can a song be a slow burn in the first place? Coming in at about 4.5 minutes, the first half and second half are completely different songs, but in the way that the chorus is more or less repeated for the last 2 minutes of the song, whereas the first 2 minutes are used as sort of an intro, layered with fire guitar licks and a heavy drum and bass beat that pushes the guitar and vocals forward. The first half, once again, may seem quite slow to some, including me at first, but once you listen to the song in its entirety, you'll gain appreciation to how it flows, and the more I listen to it, the more I like it. The second half is just pure magic, and I think it's very, very beautiful. Giving this one a 9.5 out of 10. The 9th track is Daily Dose, which is just an instrumental track, but I think it's pretty cool. I'm not the biggest fan of instrumental tracks on albums, but I think this one fits pretty well in here. The use of maracas is also a nice touch. And I like that with no vocals it lets the instruments shine, especially these really hollowed out guitar melodies. I'll give this one a solid 7.5 to 8, only because it's only an instrumental, but it's a pretty good one. And the final track is Let's Call It a Day, and it's pretty normal for the last track on most albums to be either the worst or the most forgettable, and that's unfortunately the case for this little guy here. The instrumental is pretty nice, but very forgettable, and the hook is pretty boring as well. Let's call it a day. Let's call it a day. It's an okay sounding song, but so is every other one on here, and add a forgettable hook and lyrics, it's definitely the worst on here. I'll give this one a sad face out of 10, and here are my final rankings. And that was Dim Light Lady by Jindy, a really solid album that I think deserves a lot more attention. Is it perfect? No. Is it a masterpiece? Arguably. Do I think you should listen to it after this video? Yes, I do. I want to give a huge shout out to Jindy. Y'all make really good music. Please go on tour and come to Houston. Make sure to follow Jindy on all platforms. I linked them down below. And I want to apologize for not being super in-depth on these. I'm just a dude who likes music somewhat, and I wanted to make this video to kind of highlight this underrated album. And once again, if you guys want to see more of these music type videos, I'm more than willing to. I have a lot of other albums that I feel deserve a lot more attention. I really want to highlight them. And I might also start doing some videos about other forms of media like movies. So if that's another thing you guys want, just make sure to let me know. And with that being said, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Not a bad comment. A good comment as always. See you guys in the next video.